Hi dear students, a warm good morning to all of you. So let's continue with biofertilizers. And today we are going to talk about mycorrhiza. As we all know, mycorrhiza is something, it's a fungal association with plants. And I've given you depictions which have been provided by various mycorrhizal providing companies. And you can see that when you go to consider the different plants that is which are being treated with mycorrhiza as well as which are being considered to be as untreated ones, the growth as well as the productivity of the particular plant is being found to be higher is when a mycorrhiza is being found to be associated. Now how does a mycorrhiza help a particular plant? It is usually a nutrient mobilizer, or it enables the particular plant, if a mycorrhiza has been found associated, that is better nutrient utilization or better nutrient availability is being provided towards a plant. Now, in this case itself, you can see the size of the plant is being found to be higher when it is being treated with a mycorrhiza. And when you go to take a section of the plants which have been treated with the mycorrhiza, of course, different brands of mycorrhiza can be used, which have been provided by different companies. You can see that the extent of the root is being found to be higher. It doesn't mean that the roots are being found to be grow higher. It indicates that the mycorrhiza, they are being found to be associated with the roots, and a network is being created by this fungi which have been associated with the roots, and these fungi itself or the hyphae of the fungi would serve as the roots, enabling the absorption of the nutrients and mobilizing these nutrients towards the plant, thereby increasing its productivity. So now in this untreated control, you can see the amount or the extent of the root network is being found to be less compared to a mycorrhiza treated plant. So if you go to consider the mycorrhiza, it's a fungus which has been found to be associated to a root, as the Greek term explains to you. And it is a mutualistic relationship which usually develops about 80% of the all land plants do have such mycorrhizal association. And it is and a limited number of filamentous fungi species are being found to be associated over here. So if you go to look at the nature of this symbiosis, you can see that unlike most fungi which have been found to be saprophytic in nature, the mycorrhizal fungi, they are not being found to be saprophytic. Now what do you mean by saprophytic? Saprophytic is a nature in which you degrade an organic material and then you obtain the organic carbon. That is a common method for most fungi. But in the case of mycorrhizal fungi, it is not saprophytic, but it will use the photosynthetically derived organic carbon or the carbohydrate from that particular host. So it is not saprophytic here, but it is taking the carbohydrate which has been produced by the particular host. Now, what is the role of the fungal partner over here? As I mentioned earlier, it is a nutrient mobilizer. So all the nutrients are being provided to the host plant by these fungal partners. And it could be water, it could be nutrients such as phosphorus and all that. If you go to consider moist environment, phosphorus is the most predominant nutrient which has been provided. And in the case of arid environments or the dry environments where the nutrients do not limit the plant growth to the same degree, they will aid in water uptake and increase the transpiration rate in comparison to the non-mycorrhizal plants. And in some cases, you can also see that mycorrhiza will serve as a biocontrol agent. That is, it will protect the plant from certain various pathogens also. So the role of the fungal partner over here is to provide efficient supply of the nutrients towards the host plant, and the fungi will in turn take the carbohydrate which has been provided, which has been synthesized by the host plant. Now, if you go to consider the fungal elements or the mycorrhiza as a whole here, uh, mycorrhiza can be divided into two types. They could be found to be as ectomycorrhiza as well as endomycorrhiza. As the term implies, if the fungal partner enter into the root cells or into the cortical cells, then it is referred to as an endomycorrhiza. And when the fungal elements remain extracellular, just forming a sheath of interconnecting filaments or hyphae around the roots, that is referred to as ectomycorrhiza. So there are mainly two types of mycorrhiza, the ectomycorrhiza as well as the endomycorrhiza. But if you go to look into deep into it, you can classify them again into different types. And as I told you, the first one is ectomycorrhizae. Then sometimes they may be considered to be as arbuscular, sometimes ericaceous, orchidaceous, ectendomycorrhizae, or monotropoid mycorrhiza. You don't have to worry about all these very much, because these are all now the if if the type of mycorrhiza found in the plants ericales is being found, that is ericaceous. The type of mycorrhiza found in orchid is considered to be as orchidaceous, and ecto, of course, which is being found we will be dealing with the details of it. So in every type of mycorrhizal association, different types of fungi have been found to be involved. If you have ectomycorrhizae, it's basidiomycetes which has been involved, and sometimes ascomycetes can be associated. In arbuscular, you have glomeromycetes. These type of fungi are being found to be associated. In Ericaceae, you have Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. In Orchidaceous, you have Basidiomycetes. And Ectendomycorrhiza, you have Ascomycetes. And monotropoid mycorrhiza, you have Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. Now, what are the difference between all these? Now, this is a depiction, a pictorial depiction of the different types of mycorrhizae. As I told you, it could be either on the extracellular surface of the root cell, okay, or it might be found to be inside. Now, when it penetrates into the inner sides of the cortical cells, that is referred to as an endomycorrhiza. And the ectomycorrhiza is being found to be associated with the outer cells. It is not penetrating deep into the root cells. So based upon that, you can classify them as the ectomycorrhiza and the endomycorrhiza. Ectomycorrhiza is also being considered to be as a sheathed mycorrhiza, and it has mainly three different types: ectomycorrhiza, ectendomycorrhiza, as well as the monotropoid mycorrhiza. And in the endomycorrhiza, you have arbuscular mycorrhiza, orchidaceous mycorrhiza, as well as ericaceous mycorrhiza. So I'll be going into the details of each type of mycorrhiza here. Now, first we will talk about the ectomycorrhiza. As I told you earlier, a fungal mycelium will be found associated with the root over here, and in some cases this mycelium will found to be thickened. They will get thickened. You know what is the difference between a hypha and a mycelium? Hyphae is when it becomes entangled, it becomes a mycelium. So at some times what happens, the mycelium will get thickened, okay, and that will form a sheath. Just have a look here. This is a sheath, that is the mycelia. The hyphal element is being found to be thickened over here to form a sheath or a mantle. And sometimes, see, such a thing, it will throughout the root cell it is getting covered. And most most of the ectomycorrhiza, it produces signaling molecules, and what happens as a result, the growth of the root will be inhibited, but or it will be limited, and associated with the roots, the ectomycorrhiza will be found to be associated. And what it is, the mycorrhiza in fact will serve as a better root-like network in the case of plants. Now, from the root surface, the fungi extend hyphae into the soil, and sometimes in the soil they will form filament-like root-like structures called the rhizomorphs. And on the inner side, the sheath will form another network, okay, a meshwork of hyphae within the cell, and that is referred to as a Hartig net. You can look over here. See, I'll show you another picture which will help you to better understand. Now, if you go to look to ectomycorrhizae, this is the external hyphae which you have, and at the same time, and this external hyphae will extend and form like root-like structure called the rhizomorphs, and within the root cells, between the cortical cells, it won't enter into the cortical cell, but between the cortical cells, it will form a mesh-like network. This network is referred to as a Hartig net. So, what is the particular role of this, all these things? Okay, so you have the mycorrhiza which is connected to the inside of the between, like in between the cortical cells, the hyphae is having access. At the same time, at the tip of the root, it is being extended and it is forming rhizomorphs also. So all the nutrients from the soil can be transferred from the soil towards the roots with the help of this particular network which has been carried out by the, which has been created by the mycorrhizae. Now, how is ectendomycorrhizae different? A little more extension of that is being carried out over here. And in the case of monotrochoid, if you have certain other elements which have been found over here called the fungal peg, and all that is being formed, but such structural elements are not being found in ectendo. If you go to look into ectendomycorrhiza and ectomycorrhiza, such elements are not being found. So depending upon the structural elements which have been, or the type of the structural elements formed, the sheath mycorrhiza are divided into just ectomycorrhiza, ectendomycorrhiza, as well as the monotrochoid mycorrhiza. So, what is the function of these ectomycorrhizal plants? As I mentioned earlier, the soil nutrients are being taken up by the rhizomorphs, and they first pass through the hyphal sheath and then in through the Hartig net filaments, and they form numerous contact with the root cells. Thus, it will result in a efficient two-way transfer of soil nutrients to the plant and the carbohydrates to the fungus. And what happens? Various sugars such as mannitol as well as fructose, even these sugars can be transferred from the plant towards the fungal symbionts as well as from the soil also. So I guess you got an idea of ectendomycorrhiza. Now I guess we continue. Now comes to the arbuscular mycorrhiza. In arbuscular mycorrhiza, it is once it penetrates into the cortical cells, and it is an endomycorrhiza. So it will penetrate into the cortical cells. It is not piercing into it, but it is not rupturing it, but it enters and it will form some tree-like hyphal networks within the cortical cells. And it has mainly been formed within the folds, developed within the folds of the plasma membrane. And as a result, the term arbuscular mycorrhiza is being noted over here, and this has mainly been formed by the fungal group Glomeromycota. And the characteristic feature of this arbuscular mycorrhiza is the presence of these arbuscles. Now, now, yeah. What is let me just go into the picture of it. See, you can see that arbuscles are these what tree-like elements, or that is being found within the particular cell. Now, what is the role of these arbuscular mycorrhiza? These are usually the sites of exchange of nutrients like phosphorus, carbon, water, as well as other nutrients are also being transferred to the inside of the root with the help of arbuscular mycorrhiza. They provide nutrients such as nitrogen also to the plant, and while the fungus provides its host with much needed ammonium, it retains the carbon skeleton required for the nitrogen uptake. But we are not sure, not much sure whether the mycorrhizal fungi will take up the carbon from their hosts, but we can find that according to recent studies, it is revealed that the plant can detect, discriminate, and reward the best fungal partner with more carbohydrates. So, though we are not sure exactly whether they are the hyphae is being the mycorrhiza is getting covered, but we can see that in plants where better what do you say better fungal partners are there which are giving better nutrients to the plants, they are giving carbohydrates towards the hyphae also. So the role of this arbuscular mycorrhiza, as we told you, it is a nutrient mobilizer, and these arbuscles, or the tree-like extensions of the hyphae, they are the sites of exchange of phosphorus, carbon, water, and other nutrients in the case of arbuscular mycorrhiza. Now let's move on. We have the orchidaceous mycorrhiza. Of course, these are the mycorrhiza mainly found in the orchids. Orchids, they are being found to have an absolute dependence on the ectoendomycorrhizal partners for at least part of their lives, as they do not contain chlorophyll. So they will have to depend on these mycorrhiza for the particular carbon, like they are not photosynthesizing much. So the basidiomycete orchid mycorrhiza, it that also cannot photosynthesize. So what will it do? It will be act as a saprophyte, and it will take organic matter from the what? From the substrates on which it grows. It will degrade the organic matter to obtain carbon, and orchids will also get it with the help of the mycorrhiza over here. So in this case, the orchid is in fact acting as a parasite because it has been depending upon the mycorrhiza for its carbon source. Now, the ericaceous mycorrhiza, these are the type of the endomycorrhiza that will penetrate the root cells without creating arbuscles, and it is mainly been found in the vegetations within the order of ericales. So, you can also find that certain bacteria are being found to be associated with the mycorrhiza's rhizosphere, and that is referred to as a mycorrhizosphere. And different bacteria such as Pseudomonas, Bacillus, and Burkholderia and all that are being found to be associated with this mycorrhiza also. Now, how is mycorrhiza a biofertilizer? Uh, this mycorrhiza is usually, as I told you, it is a nutrient mobilizer, and it is a symbiotic association which we found over here and find over here, and you can see that it promotes the plant growth by enhancing the nutrient acquisition and also promoting the production of certain growth hormones. And in certain plants, they increase the resistance against plant pathogens, and the surface area of the root system is being increased for a better absorption of nutrients from the soil. Therefore, mycorrhiza can be considered as a biofertilizer as well as a biocontrol agent. So with this, we come to an end of mycorrhiza as a biofertilizer. Thank you for now. We will be continuing with the other type of biofertilizers in the next sessions.